Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. It's an open the box and it's an unboxing of the new game in a series which I was very much looking forward to. And it is, of course, Panzer North Africa, the game of small unit actions and combined arms operations in the North African desert from mid-1940 to late 1942. Designed, of course, by James M. Day and Fernando Sola Ramos, and published, of course, by GMT Games. Now, Fernando did the solo stuff for expansion 4 in the original set of Panzer, so I assume there will be some solo stuff in this. Cover illustration, by the way, is by Antonis Gerardis. So, right, what's all this about? Panzer, North Africa. The tanks prepare for action. The commanders confer one final time. They await your orders. So Panzer North Africa is a modular game system for 2 or more players, designed for combined arms small unit actions set in World War II. It is comprehensive yet remains quick to play. It has one of the most detailed weapon and armor moduling systems as presented in its full color data cards and charts. And there are the data cards. The streamlined counter-based command system steps play along at a brisk pace, moving players quickly into the action. Included in the game are the German Panzers 3s, 4s, the Italian M1340s, Semoventes, British Crusaders, Matilda, Grant, Sherman, and many other units, including infantry and aircraft. So it's all here, they say. Lots of stuff goes on in the game, and I'll leave you to read that. And it says here 32 historical scenarios, including 5 solitaire and a 4-scenario campaign game, showcase the game's various systems and cover the range of action in North Africa between German, Italian, and British forces. So in the box we have 6 double-sided 10 by 27 inch geomorphic map boards. So that's 12 map boards in total. 8 full color counter sheets. 49 double-sided unit data cards. 45 terrain overlays, that's new. 5 charts, tables and reference sheets. 1 basic rulebook. 1 advanced rulebook. 1 playbook. 1 TO and E booklet. And 4 dice. And the credits, as I mentioned earlier, game design and development James M. Day and Fernando Sola Ramos, art director Justin Martinez and Mark Simonich, and the production coordinator Kai Jensen. Ages 14 plus, 2 plus players, and playing time 1+ hours. Unit scale individual tanks, vehicles, towed guns and aircraft. There's infantry squads, half squads and sections. Map scale, each hex is 100 meters. And the time scale of the game, 15 seconds to 15 minutes. And on the game charts here, complexity 6 out of 9 and solitaire suitability 9 out of 9 because of these solitaire battles or scenarios. And I just wanted to mention this is a standalone game. You don't need any of the previous Panzer games to play this, which is good news. So having said that, let's get the shrink wrap off. The shrink wrap is off, and it's a massively heavy box. It's a 3.5 inch in depth. And just to compare, here's the original Panzer. Look at that. So lots of stuff in here. Right, let's open the box. So the first thing we see are these map boards, but as always, let's fish out the rule book and have a look at those. So here are the rules. It's matte paper, full color, and 68 pages, but The basic game is only 21 pages. The rest of the book is made up of mostly the advanced rules, which takes us up to the 61, 62. This is one of my favourite tactical games. I seem to cope well with it, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I suspect once you read the basic rules and play it a few times, you'll want to move on to the advanced rules because there's so much more in those. But anyway, starts off with the introduction, scowl, components. As I say, in this game we've got terrain overlays, which you haven't seen before, game cards and counters and all that and what it means. Not a lot of info on them. Where they're from, the name, reference number for when you're sort of setting up the scenarios, and what data card it's on. And then you've just got those numbers there. And if memory serves correctly, which it probably doesn't, these are all to do with movement. It's a tracked vehicle, I think 2 hexes off road, 3 on a sort of track and 5 on a road. I'm not quite sure what this one means, but we'll probably come across it in the book. Here are your commands, which you'll have to put down. Other counters for knocked out and brewed up tanks, victory point tokens, turn tokens, and sort of numbered counters which you use for a few things. It's percentile dice in this game. So, preparation for play. Tells you all about that. And then the sequence of play. The spotting phase goes first. Then the initiative phase. Whoever wins that can decide to be the first or second player. So if you decide to go first, you'll do combat first and move second, and the second player will do combat second but move first. So you've got a decision to make right at the beginning. So this is all about combat, damage, movement here, adjustment phase, sort of like the admin phase, and that's it. Then you're into the advanced rules where it gets a little bit more involved. You've got things like advanced combat rules, which use more information on those data cards, ammo limits, that sort of thing, bailing out. They've got a slightly different sequence of play. All the different terrain features. That's new, I think. Of course, in the desert. Got air phases if there are aircraft involved. You've also got infantry in the advanced rules, which you haven't got in the sort of basic rules, I think. Calling in indirect fire. So lots and lots of stuff, which makes it such a great game. Hand-to-hand combat. Suppression and all that towing stuff. Overrun. Second air phase. So you can see, very involved game. And if that sort of game is your thing, this will be right up your street. There we are, glossary, credits again, and a nice index. Very comprehensive index and a terrain key on the back. My goodness. Them's the rules. And then, if that wasn't enough, once you're happy with the advanced rules, then there are optional rules. The good thing about these optional rules is you can plug these in as and when you're ready, and depending if you like that rule or not. So it's very modular. 24 pages and lots of optional rules, morale, how to do that. Hidden units will be needed not only in the sort of normal scenarios, but I believe, as it was in the original series, for your solitaire play. Tank fright, limited spotting. So again, you just plop these in if they take your fancy. See, I don't use turrets because it's a bit fiddly. Different types of fire, weapon malfunction, camouflage. So you can go to town as little or as much as you want. Bogging down, I used to use that. Minefields, if you want. Stuff on fire. This is just an incredible game. You can make it as hard or as crunchy as you want, but you can do it in stages. You can learn the basic game, then start applying the advanced rules, get them under your belt, and then look at the optional rules, see if any of those take your fancy. So there we are. Leaders is an optional rule. You'll see those in the counters. Their effects. Here's a list of them for the 3 armies involved. Tank crew size. And on the back, combat effects summary. There we are. That's the optional rules. Next is a playbook. This is 31 pages and explains about these table of organization and equipment books. We'll see in a minute. And then into the scenarios. I think this would be helpful if you're designing your own scenarios, which you can do. How to set them up and what everything means. Here's an example of one of the setup charts in the books, which again you'll see in a moment. And then there's the solitaire rules. These are quite in depth. And another YouTuber who you need to have a look out for if this is of interest to you, Camp Sawyer, has not only done a playthrough of a solitaire scenario, he's applying those solitaire rules to some of the non-solitaire scenarios in the European Panzer, if you like. So check him out. These are quite involved. And if you want to sort of see how old Ruff coped with this game, you might want to check out my playthrough of Panzer, and I'll leave a link for that up there somewhere. Sequence of play. Yeah, lots of stuff. So the enemy that is against you, be it an allied or Axis side, will start hidden. And you'll have to sort of seek them out and find out what they are. But you can see it's quite an involved set of solitaire notes. And here we've got designer notes, always good to see. Evolution of the game, which goes on about the Quinto originals, if you like. And from Fernando Sola Ramos, the guy that did the solitaire rules, bibliography, and the solitaire tables on the back. There we are. We've not finished yet. Next, there are not one, but two scenario books. Thick, 60-odd pages each. Let's have a quick look through one of those. Yeah, they're both 64 pages. And the reason is there's a lot of info in each scenario. So here's scenario 47, the maps you'll use, what overlays, which we'll have a look at in a minute, sort of the map numbers, any special conditions, setups and victory conditions. And then here we are, here's the sort of units the Italians get, here's the units the Brits get, and some more over here. There's an armoured car squadron there. And that's it. And then we're into scenario 48. Remember, there are 32 scenarios split up into these two books. So you can see all very much the same. Not sure if they go chronologically. Might do, might do. So there we are. That's what the scenarios look like. And here's a campaign, Operation Battle Axe, which combines scenarios 58 to 61. Absolutely brilliant. There's info for that. These, I think, are used maybe to keep track of what's going on with your units if it's a large campaign, or maybe if you're designing your own. And there's a nice map on the back showing some of the battles that went on. So you get two of them. Here's the table of organisation and equipment manual. This is 20 pages long and just contains a whole lot of information if you want to seek out more depth of the organisation of the armies and so on. So there we are, just chock-a-block with who had what and who commanded what and who was assigned to who and so on. There we are. Next, there are 6 sheets of terrain overlays. Here's the first one, single-sided, of course. I'll go through them quite quickly. This seems to be some sort of camp or enclosure. It's number 3, and they all seem to have some sort of directional sort of arrow on them, showing you which way they should point. As I said earlier, these are new for this Panzer series. And here's the last one. Next, there are 8 sheets of counters. Here's the first one. Probably understand why there's 8 sheets. These are 9/16, not quite an inch. Here we can see the Italians, some German stuff here. These are the leaders. So pause if you need to spend longer having a look. On the other side, we have different units. It's not like the reduced side of most counters. Counter sheet 2, here we come, here the Brits. Grants and Shermans, Crusaders, Stuarts, and some of our leaders there. The Germans, Panzer 1s, lots of Panzer 3s. Here's number 4, Germans and the Brits, Portees, Valentines, Humber trucks. That's the last of the vehicles. Here we've got the leg units for the Italians, Germans and British. And the other side, Yes, these are the reduced sides. And the rest of the sheets are admin counters. We've got brew up counters here, turret damaged or the hull damaged. Depending on what's happened, you can align that counter to show you what's gone wrong. Dust, that's new. Bailing out. On fire. This is artillery incoming counters, I think. And those numbered counters we showed you that have different values for hidden units or amount of units being carried in trucks, I think. It's been a little while since I've played it, so can't remember everything. There's the other side. Here are your commands: fire, move, overwatch, short, halt, no command. And when I played this, I played it two-handed with a little house rule so I could use these commands. In the solitaire rules, there's actually a way around with tables and things to tell you what the enemy's commands are going to be. Hesitation, fire and move markers. Here's the other side of the command markers, because of course if you're playing two-handed, you don't want to give away what your commands are to your opponent, so you place these face down on your tanks. Here's the last one. Here you've got your turrets, which I've never used, but never say never. Some more command tokens here. Rubble, mines, nasty, turn marker, and this sun, which is new. Next up, we've got some helpful player aids telling you exactly what these data cards mean. Here's one for the vehicle data card, and on the other side, we've got one for the leg data, one for the aircraft, what their data cards mean, and any towed units. But on the back of these two, we do have the turn track, transport and summary track, what you're moving around with your trucks and towing and all that sort of thing, and your hidden unit indicator, so you know what you've got hidden. And then two copies of this bifold player aid labelled game card A and B. So let's have a quick look at that. Here's the inside. You can see the terrain effects here, anti-aircraft and aircraft spotting and their modifiers, as well as line of sight, depending on their altitude. Spotting ranges, and these sort of modifiers will move you up and down the columns rather than across. Cohesion points, which are sort of, I believe, optional rules, and the modifiers: spotting, spot removal, minefield effects. There's a lot of info in this game, and it's all contained on this one player aid. Breakpoint, cohesion points, available commands, which is quite important. How many commands you can actually issue depends on your sort of experience, and I think how many tanks you are in command of. Buildings and their effects, and there's a nice sequence of play. And on the other side, more charts. This is to do with sort of infantry. I think that means general purpose combat, and fire modifiers, armor piercing, hit modifiers and hits. Yeah, so this side is all armor piercing. This in this color is all to do with infantry and hand-to-hand, and artillery. If you're going to bail out, how you recover from suppression, and upgrading your units. But let me assure you, you do get used to where you need to be looking on this handout. Don't let it frighten you. And then there are a ton of data cards for every single vehicle used in the game, and of course towed, aircraft, infantry, etc. And on here is everything you'll need. They're double-sided, so very thick card. So here's the Panzer III. So looking at their offensive information when they're firing, how far away they are, what sort of ammo they're using, And if they get attacked, here's their defensive information, depending where they're hit, whether they're on a level with the firer or above or below. And here's one for the Crusader. So again, it looks daunting, but once you know what you're doing, and you'll use these even in the basic game, but you won't use very much of that information, but it gets you used to looking at these cards. So that's those. We got some plastic bags and 2 sets of D10s, which you'll use as percentile dice. And then just to finish off, those 6 double-sided map boards. Let's have a quick look at those. Here's the first one. That's sort of a different size, sort of twice the sort of smaller maps you get in like Lock and Load Tactical. But here's the first one. Now on some of these, there's going to be very little features. We've got some rough and stuff here, and the road. And on the other side of this one, this map is dominated by this huge hill. Here's another one. I'm not sure if these are tracks or roads, probably tracks with some scrub and rough areas. Here's the other side. We've got a nice oasis bang in the middle with this little village here. Here's the next one. They lay pretty flat, but I would recommend using Perspex if you have it. This one's a bit busier. This may be an Allied or Axis airfield by the look of those runways. There's a gully you might be able to use to creep up on it. This one's got, and this is a road I believe, so you can trundle along there very quickly. The other side of that one looks like a 3, or is it a 4 stage hill. That's going to be awkward to get across or through with this shrub and rubble and the like. Again, another sparse map, but it is the desert. And the other side dominated by roads and tracks. And here's the last one. And the other side. It's interesting, bridge across a gully there. And that's it. That's everything in the box. So this has been an open the box, an unboxing of a humongous amount of stuff in GMT's new addition to the Panzer family, Panzer, North Africa, designed by James M. Day and Fernando Sola Ramos. There is certainly a lot to be getting on with in this box, and I'm looking forward to getting this on the table. If you're aware of the War Room that myself and 2 other ne'er-do-wells run, you will know that every year we do a 10-game challenge, and those that complete it will win prizes. So this is one of the games on my list, and what a lot you get in the box. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you found it interesting. If you did and you haven't done so already, please have a think about subscribing to the channel, as it really does help. Also, pushing that like button underneath the video, the thumbs up, helps with the old algorithm as well. Leave a comment. I know some people across the pond have already got this. I received this today at the time of videoing, so I thought let's do an unboxing. I wanted to see what goodies were inside. But what do you think? Leave a comment, let me know. I love to read them. If you follow the channel, you know that a while back I did a playthrough of the original Panzer from GMT and thoroughly enjoyed that. Thought it was a great game. But tell me your opinions. Let me know. Thanks as always to my subscribers. Thank you so much, as I say, for putting up with me. And just before I toddle off, quickly, if you wish to support the channel a little bit further, you can buy the channel a coffee, and there's a link for that in the description. Or if you wish, push the super thanks button underneath this video. Either of which, if you decide to do that, you'll receive my undying thanks, because these donations do help the channel to keep ticking along. So there we go. Right then, Got to get this back in the box and start clipping 8 counter sheets. I'll let you know how I get on. And then get on with the next video, which I hope you can join me for. But until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.